This is my first speech, and this is on the limitations that need to be put in place on NIL. So the reason that I'm passionate about this is I've seen a lot of my favorite sports teams in college either get built up by NIL or fall apart. So the first example I had was UVA football the last couple of years has been absolutely terrible. And then this offseason we get a bunch of NIL donations, and that's actually led to us being a successful football team, 8-2 so far this year. And that's been great to see. So on one side, that's the great side of it. On the other side, you got to think about we're beating teams purely because of the amount of money that we're getting donated and not because we're actually the better football team. So that's what made me start to think about what limitations could be put in place and what other reasons do I have for wanting to limit it. Another big reason I don't like NIL, especially with how powerful it is a lot of the best coaches we have are leaving the game. In college basketball, I think about guys like Roy Williams, Tony Bennett, two ACC coaches who were great at what they did. They recruited for their system, and then once NIL started, they couldn't recruit because players didn't want to come to play for their system. They wanted the money. And then same thing with Nick Saban, who's won plenty of national championships. Everybody knows how good of a coach he is. But the problem is, once again, players don't want to play for a system. They want to play for the money. So I think the best way to limit this would be either one, having a salary cap, or two, just going back to the way it was with no NIL. I think a lot of the players are just viewing college now as a business. Where can I go to make the most money? And they're not actually there for the right reasons. I think college athletics should be used to develop a person as a player, as an athlete, obviously, and then as a person as well, and also helping out in the community. That's one of the big things Nick Saban was always talking about is we want to be great on the field, off the field, in the community. But now all the players are being raised in a generation where they don't care about that. So I think that's a lot of parents now aren't liking the way their kids are growing up and being almost pretty much raised by the coaches in college to not be a high quality guy, but just chase money. So I think if they put a salary cap in, I think that it can be different, just like in professional sports. You have certain cities have higher salary cap just based on where they're at. So I think maybe like SEC brings in a lot more money than other sports, or other conferences, sorry. So I think maybe you have higher salary caps for certain conferences than others, but overall they should all be pretty comparable, so that the teams that are winning are actually the teams with the best coaches, best system, best players, and not just the best who has the most money. I also think that a lot of the SEC schools now are just saying the second that the season ends, I don't care about any of my players. I'm just going to go buy every good player in the transfer portal, which is terrible for college athletics as well. So I think if we start by limiting it, you can start with the salary cap. You can start by just requesting everybody, not make everything into a bidding war, whatever the best system is for that to start out. And then if that doesn't work, I think you just have to go back to no NIL. And then the problem with that you can have is a lot of teams are just going to do it, even though you outlawed it, and it's going to be hard to track what's legal and what's not. And then you also have to consider a big topic now, which is sports betting. And if players aren't allowed to make money on NIL, they're going to look towards, I can just rig the game. We've seen it in MLB a lot. We've seen it in the NFL recently, where players are they're willing to throw away millions of dollars just to go get, an extra $12,000 by missing a pitch on purpose. So you have to factor in sports betting and how if you get rid of NIL, it could start to cause college athletes to have, their friends bet for them. And then it's just really turned into a business where everything's about money. I think if you look at the definition of NIL, it's name, image, and likeness. I think you should make money based off your name, your image. But people are just they're making money based off their skill level. And you'll see, I think of a quarterback, Darian Mensah, great at Tulane last year, goes to Duke this year, he's having a bad year. And Tulane was a perfect system for him. They've developed a lot of NFL guys, and then he goes to Duke. He's had a bad season, just like that. He's probably not going to get the NFL. So just because people are chasing money and not sticking to the system that works for them, it's turned out terribly. So, there's pros and cons to both sides, of course, but, I think all in all, either you got to start with a limit or you got to just get rid of it altogether, so.